to say or how to say it.
There's obviously power in penmanship because sweet Sarah the Suitcase Boone has her 10th attorney. Possibly a new defense if she can get everything filed on time, but certainly a strategy. And I think I know one of the other avenues they're going to try to pursue. There's been a ton of major updates in this case very, very quickly, but is it bullcrap or is it believable? Well, welcome to the point. Let's get to it.
Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
I had said in my first video on this case, I didn't think it was quite right that she was going through this thing without representation, and it seems at least one lawyer agreed with me. Because the very experienced James Owens came out of nowhere and is giving Sarah a chance. This is what justice is supposed to look like. And we do have to wonder, is he doing this out of the kindness of his heart, or are there other motives at play here that we're just not aware of? Either way, to me personally, it doesn't matter. And Vinnie Politan summed it up best saying this.
Folks, this is how the system works. It doesn't work if lawyers just look away and don't jump in like this. Everyone, whether you believe they're guilty or not guilty, it doesn't matter. Without defense attorneys stepping in like James Owens is in this case, the whole system crumbles.
So I'm not wrong for saying justice needs to be fair in the courtroom and it needs to work for everybody, regardless of income. And if more fair coverage and an open conversation is something you prefer, subscribe to this channel and hit that like button down below. Because Sarah Boone is a victim of DV and she suffers from BWS, or BSS to be more specific. At least that seems to be the argument from her new attorney, saying George was a violent person and he's attacked her many times in the past. And he even said this outside the courtroom.
I did want to say this. The Torres brothers are violent towards women. I'll say that again. The Torres brothers, George and Farrell Torres, are violent towards their women. Farrell Torres is George's brother. Are y'all aware of this? He was arrested in May in Seminole County for killing his girlfriend, the mother of his children.
So honestly, is this believable? Is Sarah Boone the victim, or is this all nonsense? We've seen this particular argument go the way of the Me Too movement to a degree, which honestly has discredited real victims of that type of crime. And that's honestly not anything someone should want to see. But let's be fair here before I give my own opinion. James said this outside the courtroom.
But there's two sides to every story. And Sarah's got a story to tell. I think she's been mistreated to some degree. She's backed into a corner, and she's the type, like most of us are, they're going to come out swinging. That's what she's been doing. Some of it is probably appropriate, some of it has been inappropriate.
And we all know the press isn't always right, or at least they're not always fully right. So if this whole narrative is true, she's going to have to show she believes she must use force against him. The amount of force used was proportionate. She retreated to the greatest degree reasonably possible, and she has to show that she was caught in this three-phase cycle, which involves minor battery incidents or verbal incidents, and attempts by her to placate him. Now, phase 2 involves some incident where she's severely attacked. Phase 3 is one of contrition and loving behavior by George, which reinforces hope for her that he's reformed. Now, we know she may have proof of DV. I don't think that's a question. The question is, did it come in cycles? Well, in her own words, she has kicked out George multiple times in the past. In fact, that last time when he was getting ready to move back in, his parents were seemingly upset, throwing his clothes into her car and saying, you either need to permanently live there or live here. You're not going back and forth anymore. And she also kept talking about how great of a day it was and how that day was a good day. She made the statement that the court-ordered sessions were working. And this was all unintentional. And of course, in the past, if he's attacked her, leaving him in that suitcase would appear to be the safer option. Because if she lets him out of that suitcase, he's going to come after her again. But there is a problem with that story, and a lot of people are saying it's simply bogus. They're bringing up the point that if she actually felt like she was in real legitimate danger, why would she have him over there? I've heard people make the case that if he was so violent and dangerous, how could this be such a good day? And then, of course, there's this.
The state has the burden of proof. They have to prove their case. I know there's some strong evidence in the case.
Sir, I can't with you, baby. Seriously.
Yeah, that's when you do when you choke me.
Sarah. 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 Sarah, I can't breathe, babe.
That's on you.
Sarah, I can't breathe.
That's on you.
Sarah.
Real or ransom. Might want to get video for it extra. Because I got this.
Sarah.
Real or ransom.
Sarah. Sarah, I can't breathe, babe.
Oh. That's what I feel like when you drink on me.
Sarah.
You.
Breathe, Sarah.
Yeah.
Now, apparently some or portions of her statements to law enforcement may not come in at trial anymore, and we'll just have to see how all that plays out. But we all have to agree that cell phone footage is bad. In that footage, you don't hear somebody that's in fear. You hear somebody that's upset and angry. But keep in mind in that moment, the state has to prove that she was depraved and had no regard for human life. And this is where another possible avenue for the defense may come in. Did Sarah know and not care that that suitcase would be the end of George? Was she aware that he was going to suffocate? How many people consider a suitcase to be airtight? You would typically think of a refrigerator or a freezer or some type of airtight container. And George was talking. So if George was talking, he was breathing, because that's simply how that works. You mix that with the drinking and her actions the next day by calling 911 with the right arguments, she may very well have an out here, so to speak. To me personally, her actions obviously contributed to George passing. I didn't personally hear fear in that clip. I heard anger. I don't personally think it was intentional, and I don't think that's up for debate here. And I think based on what's available right now, she will be found guilty of this. As always, I may be wrong. Please do your research and form your own opinion, because we haven't heard all the evidence yet. Everybody needs to understand that Sarah's going to have evidence come forward that proves her side of the story. We just don't know specifically what that is. And her attorney is clearly experienced enough to make valid arguments. It's certainly no longer going to be a scenario where a lamb's getting led to the meat processing plant. Unless you think she's toast either way. Let me know down in the comments below. Y'all be safe now.